Hi everyone, Doug and Julie here with our kinda new 2021 Mustang Mach-E electric vehicle, and today we're going on our first day trip. When we bought our Mach-E, one of our top priorities, not surprisingly, was range. Any car we bought would need a minimum true range of 200 miles. One of the reasons we set this minimum is because we love a good day trip, and we want to be able to charge up before leaving and not worry about charging the rest of the day. And one of our favorite day trips is the one we're doing today, Cannon Beach, Oregon. We live in Beaverton, Oregon, a western suburb of Portland, and for us the trip to Cannon Beach is about 140 miles round trip. With an EPA rating of 300 miles, this trip should be super easy. But we have to cross over the coastal mountain range, which peaks about 1,600 feet above sea level. Climbing significant elevation can kill range, but then we'll be coming down, which can add range back in the car, so we were curious to see how all of this would affect our overall range. Another range-killing concern is weather. But despite being in the middle of February, our temp started in the 50s and topped out with a sunny 63 degrees, so we didn't think that would be much concern. We topped off our battery right before leaving. With an indicated 100% battery, we had a guesstimated range of 239 miles. But we've learned the Mach-E's guessometer is a bit conservative, so we're going to focus on battery percentage while keeping an eye on the indicated miles per kilowatt hour number. We reset our 2 trip meters and would measure efficiency each way, as well as for the whole trip. All set, we hit the road, and then immediately decided to stop at McDonald's for some breakfast. Fun fact, this McDonald's has a level 2 charger. After our greasy biscuit breakfast, we jumped on Highway 26, which would pretty much take us all the way to Cannon Beach. Not surprisingly, being a beautiful day in a state where the people love the outdoors, it was super busy. The first section is through the valley, 2 lanes going each way, and pretty flat and straight. Here we played with the hands-free driving a bit, which worked well. Ooh, I can feel it shifting. So we're going hands-free. This portion of the highway is pretty straight, so it's pretty easy. It's doing just fine. I'm not sure it's something I'd pay extra for. It's certainly not a reason we bought this car, but I can see where this could be a big help with long, boring drives. Also on a side note, so we're flat, we're doing about 63 miles an hour, and we're bouncing between, oh wow, now we jumped to 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour, which is pretty good. Yeah, don't worry about that. That's where about 3.3 and 3.5 seem to be about where it's settling. We'll check in again as we go up the hill, up the mountain range, but right now, pretty happy with that efficiency. Still says 230 miles and 98% battery left. Once in the mountains, 26 is largely a single lane going each way, and most of the trip we felt like we were in one long continuous line of traffic. We turned off the hands-free, but left the adaptive cruise on the entire way. I can't state how much this helped in reducing stress, as the Mach-E handled the wildly varying speeds, the twists and turns, and the elevation changes with ease. And while we averaged about 50 miles per hour, our speeds varied greatly, sometimes dropping as low as 35 miles per hour. We did have one near emergency, but again, the Mach-E handled it easily.
Major traffic. Oh, and we're stopping completely.
Traffic aside, the drive out on 26 is really beautiful, especially through the mountain sections where you are enveloped by large evergreens, with an occasional peek out to the mountaintops. Sadly, there are also scars on these views in the growing swaths of cleared timber through the mountains, each a harsh reminder of man's impact on this precious earth. But I digress. There, we're down to almost sea level. Our total trip so far is, I'm trying to watch traffic, 3.7 miles per kilowatt. That's why we got people pull over. A lot of that is due to speed. That's a good number. Our speeds have ranged from 35 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour. Even the speed limit is 55, but because just get in line and let the car do this. And there's a puppy. Highway 26 eventually tees into Highway 101, which is the north-south route up and down the Oregon coast. We're on that for just a couple of miles before driving down into Cannon Beach. We usually park on the north side of town, a little further out and away from the worst traffic. Let's take a look at our this trip. 3.9 miles per kilowatt, that's pretty good. Longer than we usually take because of all the traffic. 66 miles, okay, versus 60 degrees, so our temperatures are up a little bit. And I don't know if you can see that, 80% on the battery, 180 miles of range predicted, 60 to 30 minus 60, so our range is good. I mean, that's in line with the 3.9, I think. Can you see that? Yeah, that's kind of hard to, there we go. So I'm very pleased with that. 80%, it only took us 20% battery to get here. So we've got lots of battery to go elsewhere. Okay. From there, we walk through town, sometimes stopping to shop, but usually heading right to the beach. Once we hit the sand, we head south for a nice, lazy stroll along the Pacific. This is our therapy. About a mile down the beach is the picturesque Haystack Rock. This is our usual turnaround point. Back into town, we usually stop for lunch, but this time we decided to try to beat some of the return traffic and just head out. This is the other beauty of Cannon Beach. There's a lot to do if you want to, but it's also close enough if all you want to do is drive out for a walk on the beach. Today, that's all we needed. So we're heading back 3 miles per kilowatt on the way over, looks like, although I thought we were heading more, but anyway. Warmer, 70 degrees. We'll see how the total trip, this is trip 1 and trip 2. I was going to reset trip 1. Let's reset it, there we go. Sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once. And then see where this goes, this trip. Our return trip home had much less traffic, and we were able to keep up an average speed closer to 60 miles per hour. The weather was calm and sunny, with temps a little above 60 degrees. Pretty ideal for an EV road trip. And once again, with the help of Adaptive Cruise, we arrived home safe and relaxed. We have estimated range of 128 miles at 56%, so we went 136 miles on 45%. I'll have to do the math later. I can't do the math right now, I'm tired. Overall, for our first day trip, we couldn't be more pleased with how the Mach-E performed. So how did the Mach-E do by the numbers? Well, we didn't use 100% of the battery, but we can extrapolate based on a few indicators. For instance, we drove 136 miles on 44% of battery. When you do the math, that works out to an overall range of 309 miles, just beating the EPA number. Another metric is to measure based on the miles per kilowatt hour rating. Depending on conditions, we saw that range swing from 2.3 miles per kilowatt hour to 4.1. When you do that math on an 88 kilowatt hour battery, it works out to a swing from 202 miles of range to 360. But we'll look at the trip averages. On our trip out, the car indicated an average 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. When you do that math, it works out to 343 miles. On our trip back, the car averaged 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour, which works out to 290 miles. So the overall average was 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour, which works out to a range of 316 miles. We think these numbers are excellent, but we have no illusions that every trip is going to be equally efficient. This day was absolutely ideal for EV range. We barely traveled at highway speeds, the weather was excellent, and while we had significant inclines, we also had descents that seemed to balance them out. But it's nice to know what our car is capable of, and we are definitely looking forward to more trips.